Hey guys, welcome back again in Dave's Dimension. Welcome back again for another video. Welcome back to the channel where chaos and insanity will always reign supreme. So we're back again for another installment in our buying bikes for big people series. As big guy, recently my wife made the decisions after having our bikes for a few years. We want a higher gear set. We want to have better speed and potentially some better bikes. So we are currently selling our Townie 70 bikes. I have them listed on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. We're not trying to ship them anywhere. We want to try and find someone local who will appreciate the bikes. Not to mention my bike, reinforced rims and reinforced gear system for a heavier set person. I'm taking a big loss. I don't even want to put the number out there, guys. You would be amazed how much I'm losing on this bike. So suffice to say, we're trying to sell our bikes for around $200. I'll probably sell myself short, but you know what? One, we live in an apartment. We don't have room for 4 bikes. We don't. So we're looking at a few different places. Now, I went to a couple places, and you definitely want to do that. If you're shopping, you want to shop around, guys. Look online, check different websites, hit up YouTube videos. That's what I've been doing, okay? And we went to a local shop because I believe in supporting your local businesses. Well, fortunately, this one shop we went to was not a good experience. You walk into a place, you want to be acknowledged at least within the first 5 minutes. Oh, hello, how are you doing? What brings you folks in today? That kind of a deal. Nope. About 5 minutes in, maybe 6 or 7 minutes, the guy finally stopped talking to his buddy. And by the way, they weren't exactly being family friendly in their conversation. Let's just put it that way. So it just left a bad, to me, as someone who worked in retail and who still works in customer service, it left a bad taste in my mouth. Just, bad impressions. And, he was trying to talk us into not selling our bikes, into possibly, having him trying to modify our gear system, which I've been told by several different bike places that you can't necessarily do, but he seems to be of the impression that we could. But the fact of the matter is, for me personally, I want to go for a different style bike. And my wife wants to go for something slightly different than what she has right now. She wants a faster gear system, but in the same style of the bike that she wants. So, unfortunately, this guy was just not listening to us. We tried to explain at least 3 separate times before he understood what we were trying to do, and then he kind of started to insult us a little bit. It's one thing if you are running a bike shop, obviously biking is your life. Some of us, we get up at 6 in the morning, my wife, she's usually by her job by 8 o'clock in the morning. She gets out about 4:30, gets home about 5 o'clock. Fortunately, right now, I'm still working from home. So when the weather gets better, I can hop on a bike right after work around 5:30. I work until 5:30. Right now, it's snow. It's winter in Buffalo, so you can't exactly bike ride. So that's why I got heavier weights now. I went from a 10-pound hand weights to doing some 25-pound weights. I don't want to overdo it. I'm trying to gradually increase. I'm an asthmatic, so I have to be smart about this. So he started saying to us, well, we're making excuses. Well, you don't want to insult your potential customer, especially if you want to talk them out of buying new bikes from someone else and try and salvage your current bikes. It just sat really wrong. The guy was kind of like insulting. He wasn't saying, oh, well, he could have said, there's always time in the day. Maybe you try a half-hour bike ride in the morning and do maybe another half-hour or 45-minute ride in the afternoon, in the evening. You can try and split it up. Did he say anything like that? No, he says we were being stupid. He said that word, being stupid, that we're making excuses. Now, as someone who was $495 and my lowest, I got down to $338, and I'm back at $350. I already feel like a failure inside, okay? And I'm trying to do everything I possibly can to get back to where I am. I drink about 4 or 5 of these of water a day. I haven't drank soda since a month before my surgery and about 1.5 years into my lifestyle. If I drink any kind of Gatorades, there's 0 sugar. We do low carb breads if we do any kind of breads at all. Most of the time, my lunches are just meat. If I have bread, I do my 2 carb limit, and that's about it. We do. We drain the grease out of all of our foods that we eat. Okay. We're doing South Beach diet, and we're still doing it. That's our lifestyle. It's not a fad. We weren't doing it for 6 or 8 months. We changed our lives. Okay. And you know what? Even with me being an asthmatic, I tend to push myself a lot. So for me to walk into a store, walk into a business, kind of get received that way, that was a bad experience. Okay? I'm not going to harp on it, but the guy left a very bad feeling to both of us. Okay? If you want to insult me, that's one thing, but if you also want to insult my wife, I take that personal. So fortunately, we said, you know what, we're going to brush this off. We went to the next place. We went to another store. Bikes, the original bike store where my wife bought her bike and where I bought my bike. They were courteous. They helped us out. We have a game plan right now. My wife is actually looking at still staying with Electric Townie, which is actually owned by Trek. Trek bought them a few years ago, but she's looking at a 9-speed. Not really a big difference, right? Not a big difference, but it's a 9-speed. So going from a 7-speed to a 9-speed, you might say that's not that much of a difference, but she's also going to a much larger wheel. Much larger wheel helps with that whole process. Also, disc brakes. So it's a different style braking system. So we're going to see how that works. Because both of us worked on, we've had the Ram style, some people like to call it, but technically it's a V clamp. So she's looking at that. That's pretty much our game plan right now. It's slightly a little bit different. Some small minor differences. It's still that cruiser style, but we're looking at getting her that. And me, I'm looking at the Trek bikes. Right now, I actually test rode one of the bikes in the store and didn't feel bad. The Trek, I think it's a 2021 Verve 2. The switching of the gear systems is completely different. Now, the good thing about the gear, what pushed me onto the Verve is this, but I'm not sold on the Verve just yet. I'm still doing my research. It's more of a smoother style tire. My concern is sometimes we like to go on some rough paths where there's stones, there's rocks. We know the Townies can handle them. That's not the concern. My concern is with this style tire and wheel, is this still going to be able to handle that? Because this bike is a bit more of a hybrid style bike. Okay, it's not a full blown road bike. It's more for paved paths. Sidewalks, your streets, maybe it's a paved bike path like at a public park, things of that nature. But if you go on some off-roads, it may not be able to handle it, and we're going to be going back to that store, which is a local chain called Bert's Bikes and Sports. They do all kinds of exercise equipment, stationary bikes, treadmills, bike parts and supplies, accessories. They're just awesome. And no, this is not paid advertisement. I have no affiliation with them. I've just had nothing but great experiences with them. My concern is I can be a little rough on my bike, so I want something that's going to take a little bit more of a pounding. Now, this is Trek, okay? Now, one of the things that pushed the salesperson on me or pushed me onto the style was he recommended it because very much like the Townie style bikes, you're still upright. You're not hunched over like some of the racing style or some of the road bikes. Usually, you're kind of hunched. You're kind of hunched over, right? When you're on this, not this one. I'm still upright, which is going to be a good thing for my asthma. So that's what really is the selling point for the Verve 2, and also the handles. Kind of the, how you have like this is the neck, and this is the clamp where the bar goes onto. Well, this whole thing can be readjusted so it can give me a little bit higher or a little bit lower. So that's adjustable. Second, there's also a little bit of a mounting system that they have on here, so you can have your bike computer right here, or maybe a cell phone. You can have your little headlight right here. There's different things that you can clamp around so that your handlebars are not filled with, okay, I have a light here, I have my cell phone here, I have this here. You don't have to have everything taken up the bar. it gives a cleaner look. So I'm looking at that. It's a 21 speed, but also I gotta get used to these gears, kind of the gear shifters, because on the Townie I just had one dial on one side. So we got your front gears, your front where your pedals are on this side, and then we have the rest of the rear wheel gear system right here. So it's going to take me some getting used to it. I know it's not going to be overnight, but I like it. It seems very light. It's made of it's an aluminum alloy frame, and it really looks good, guys. I really kind of like it. I'm kind of digging it. Okay, guys. So here's the Verve 2. This is a disc brake. Now they have a couple different colors here. This is actually the 2022. I was mistaken. This is the 2022, so I got the latest model. As you can see here, it looks kind of like a traditional frame, but we're going to take a closer look at the neck here. Neck is, it kind of narrows down on the side, but it gets a little bit more flatter right here. There you go. Now, here's the thing. There is no front shocks like you see on some mountain bike styles, because we got the shock right on the neck of the seat right here. Got this little shock mechanism. And it's going to be interesting to see how well that actually works out. Now, obviously, this is more on a steeper angle, but this was keeping me upright, so my breathing was nice and straight and flat. No issues there. The seat actually did not feel bad. Now, this doesn't look like a really big seat. Mind you, the Townie's a nice big wide seat for a big butt, you know? So, some very cool things here. Let's go on to the next one. Nice grips here. Now, the interesting style of the grip here, if you notice, this kind of comes outwards, almost like a wing. Because it almost comes out, I'm trying to find the best way to put it, but basically, if you ever were riding on your bike and maybe you had your hands kind of open, or you kind of had your palms or your wrists just kind of like hanging on laying on top of the bars because you're coasting, that's pretty much what this does. It creates a more comfortable grip, because basically it starts out like a tube, okay, and then it kind of comes out almost fin-like towards the edge. So it creates more of a comfortable feel, because look at your hand. Okay, so this is grip, and then you kind of got almost a wing-like, so it kind of gives you a little bit more support when you're gripping on it. And I was feeling it, and sometimes when I ride, I like to kind of have, rest my palms open, or, rest my wrist right on the handles like that. So that's kind of pretty nice and comfortable. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, let's go on to the next slide here. Here's your overview. We don't have a straight bar, which is great. I don't want a straight bar. This has that kind of curved, very similar to how Trek is, or how Townie is. So, I mean, there's that. Now, you got the brakes here. Brakes are a little bit different than what I'm used to. You've got your gears right here. And this is that system that I mentioned before, guys. Let me go back here. You can kind of see how there's an option right there to kind of adjust it. So if I want, I can tilt this upwards if I want to give it a little bit more height. Or I can have it right where it is. So that's pretty cool right there. Here are the disc brakes. Now we have disc brakes on the rear and the front, and guess what? They are hydraulic. That's right, we hydraulic fluid for brakes. It's pretty wild right there. But here's that system. I believe it's called the blender system, BLENDR, and it gives you the ability where you can attach something on top here, something underneath. So I'm going to be looking at some different headlights to to make it not look so obvious. Here's that disc brake, okay? I mean, I've never used disc brakes before, so that's going to be interesting. Now, here we got the disc brake for the rear with the hydraulic on it. This is one negative about the bike. A lot of bikes come with these. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice flat pedal for anyone. However, I have a wide foot. That's no bueno. So I'm already planning on getting some pedals. Now, if you watch my previous video, you know that I mentioned that one of the three things I recommend is getting a new pedal for your bike, you want something that's going to be comfortable for your feet and that you're not going to slip on. Okay. Here's that seat. Here's that shock on it. Now, obviously, you should be able to take the seat off and use a different kind of neck. But the seat wasn't too bad. I gotta try the seat again. And who knows? I might stick with this kind of a smaller seat. We'll see what happens. Now, bike does come in 2 colors. We got this gray. I think there's actually a white version as well. So, I think there's also a white version. I wasn't going to go for the white version because, let's be honest, white gets dirty quick. But with me being a Ghostbuster, I probably could ectofy that bike. Do I really want to do that? Well, I could. We'll see what happens. And they have different sizes here. Now, the good thing about Trek's website, if you're not sure what your size is, okay, you're not sure what size bike you should get. Well, they got a little link right here. You click on it. You're going to choose, okay, what is my height? Well, my height, I'm 6 foot. So, okay, there's one question. Now, what is my inseam? That is your leg inseam. Now, I'm about a 28 to a 30. So I could say 28, 29. It says medium, but I tried a large. Sometimes I'm a 30 length. It really depends on the cut of the pant. So 30 takes me to a large. And I rode the large. And the large was actually pretty nice size right there. So yeah, you can figure out your size right there. And they have colors. I mean, this is, now if you notice, the price on this is $769. Now, over the past couple years, especially with you know what, there's been a heavy demand on bikes. There was actually a bicycle shortage between 2021. So things are getting better. We went to Burt's and they were completely stocked. It was amazing. It was fantastic. The place hasn't looked like that in almost 2 years. Excuse me. So, I mean, this looks like a great bike, but I still have questions. There's a few other versions I want to look at. They have one called the Dual Sport, and they also have one called the FX, which I want to check out. But here are the tires. They have some, now you can see this has a little bit of a rough tread on the outside, but on the inside it looks a little bit smoother. Okay, those are tires made by Bontrager, which is a good brand. Now this is something I didn't even know that bikes had. Now it says Bluetooth, right? That component is in Bluetooth, but this is a cap. You can take that out and you can actually put a sensor inside. For, let's say you have a bike, bicycling computer that you like to mount on your bike to keep track of your pace, your speed, how are you doing on this incline opposed to the downhill, right? Well, you can actually put a component in here that fits in perfectly, and then another component that actually clips onto the spoke of your rear wheel, and another magnetic sensor that goes onto your pedal. All three work in conjunction to relay back to your bike computer so it can analyze how well you're doing on each lap or each pass. Those are for like the real serious bikers. That's not me. But I wanted to point that out to you guys. I thought that was pretty cool. Now here's one example as to how you can deck out the bike. You can have a rack right here. You can have a rear or front rim and a rear rim if you want to cover up your tires so you don't want to get water and mud and everything splashing all over the place. You can have a nice little bag right here. Have a little LED light up front. Of course, your water bottle right there. You gotta stay hydrated. Excuse me. So that is one example as to how you can deck out your bike if you really want to go on some tours. That's not me though. That's not me one bit. Now also, they don't make men's or women's bikes anymore. The terminology that they use is low step and the regular high step, or step through is some manufacturers like to use that term. So all the colors are very unisex. There's no longer men's or women's per se. So I think that was something pretty interesting. If you notice the step throughs, or let's say you have someone who, maybe they have trouble with their legs, bending their legs. The step through is very nice because take a look at one of the step throughs right here. Okay, the frame. Look at how low this is. So that's pretty cool. That gives you that much space that you can step through it, making it easier for you to get on your bike. Okay. But yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm also going to try and pull up. Let's pull out the Dual Sport. Let's check out the Dual Sport 2 because that's where my price range would be. $7.89 for this. And big difference on this one, you got some shocks right here. Pretty much very similar frame, except there's going to be some differences. As it says here, efficient on pavement, stable on rougher terrain. You got the front shock here, but you don't have the shock in the seat. But pretty much everything else is very similar. That same kind of winged handlebar right there. Same kind of gears. Everything is almost identical. Like I said, the seat's a little different. It doesn't have that shock that the other one has. So we got some different colors here. Some brighter ones. Viper Red. But yeah, they have some pretty cool bikes that you guys should definitely check out. Now, I have not committed to a Trek bike yet. We want to go back to the store and ask some more questions. You know, a lot of people, and here, one thing I was really welcomed about was I asked them a few questions. I asked that store, I said, hey, what if someone buys a bike online? Let's say they bought it from an online retailer, or, you know, they got it from Amazon or something like that, and it's in a box. They get it shipped to their house, it's in a box. Do you guys assemble it for them? He said, yes, we do. $100 charge, which is understandable because they're putting together, you know, $700-800 bicycle, or maybe even close to $900 for a bicycle, depending on that bike, you know, and it's being professionally put together. That's one thing. So I don't think in the grand scheme of things, $100 is asking a whole lot, you know, because obviously they're going to have all the proper tools to, one, put it together. Two, they're going to have the lubricants. They're going to have the oil. They're going to make sure everything is running fine-tuned. And these are people who build bikes, probably 20 different bikes a day. So obviously, they're going to know where everything goes and how to put everything together, opposed to you or me who might have put a bike together 5 or 7 years ago, or maybe even further than that. So there's been a lot of differences in the biking world. Also, this is one of the lights that would actually work on that system. So that's one of the lights I'm looking at. It looks pretty small, so that's going to be interesting. I still got questions, and I'm also looking to get a new helmet. My old helmet's a Bontrager helmet. I've had it for as long as I've had my bike, about 5 years. And I've been through a few accidents, and, you know, I'm still here. That's one of the things you guys definitely want to do is safety first. You always want to get a good helmet. If your helmet's taken some damage, you know, if it's taken a few hits, looks like it's had better days, go ahead and get yourself a new helmet. Now, helmets can be a little bit pricey nowadays, but there's no price too high for protecting your head, protecting your skull, your brain. I mean, let's be honest. You know, it's one thing to get a few bruises, but if you fall and hit your head on concrete, you know, on, you know, the pavement of a road, you know, anything can happen, guys. You know, you don't want to take any chances, so please put your safety first. Wear a helmet. Be safe, okay? So, yeah, they do sell a lot of different accessories. Again, examples of where you can have your, here's the small. If you notice, the small kind of has a curved neck right here. And then the frame for the medium, large, and extra large is about the same style. This one's just a little bit different, so there's a lot of differences on here. A lot of bikes are going for this threaded look, where they have the wires threading into the frame, which is kind of a cleaner look. But yeah, definitely check out your local bike shops, guys. Don't just hit one, hit several. Get some different opinions, you know. I went to the one place I won't mention. I had a bad experience. I don't want to give them any bad press. But we went to Bert's. It was an awesome experience. We haven't bought anything yet. We're planning to check out a few other places. So, and also, if you have a used bike, guys, call a couple of your local places. Not the big corporate places, but the local places. Some of them might actually buy your bike for parts, or to refurbish and sell to someone else at a lower rate. So don't just throw your bikes out. You can always try the Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist for trying to sell your bikes, but also you're going to get a lot of people trying to hackle you. So it's kind of a gray area, guys. Like right now, I'm trying to sell our bikes through Craigslist. We've had a few people message me about my wife's bike. One person wanted me to email them an email address that was completely unrelated to their name at all. one person was like, "Hey, yeah, I want to meet you at 9:30, and and we can discuss payments then." No, be smart. If you're gonna sell on a public trading, whether it's Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, be safe, guys. Don't list your phone number. Because who knows? Anyone can see your contact information. You might get hassling callers. You don't want that, guys. Be smart. If you're going to meet up with someone to complete the purchase, I highly recommend using PayPal if you can. PayPal, but do it as business. You might get hit with some fees, but at least then you're saving yourself in case the person stiffs you. Okay? Second, pick a public place. A Target parking lot. Somewhere that is very public, that there's people everywhere, in case the person tries pulling a fast one on you. You never know in this day and age. Anything can happen. Your safety first, guys. Safety first, always. Now, I've bought things, I haven't bought anything on Craigslist, but I have sold a laptop in the past. I always picked a public place to trade off. You always want to be careful, and you want to, actually, get a feel for who you're actually working with, right? Same here. So, be smart. Think things through. There's no such thing as too much research, guys. There's no such thing as that. So, and yes, if you're going to a new bike, you should also keep in mind that you're going to have to get new accessories. The bottle holder that you had on your old bike might not fit on the new one, right? The lights you had on your old bike, maybe you want to get new sets, And just because you're at a bike store doesn't mean you have to get all your parts there. A lot of times I buy a lot of stuff on Amazon, guys. There's a lot of things you can find on Amazon for bike accessories, even the brand name stuff, and sometimes you can get them a little bit cheaper. So, there you are. Just a quick little video that I wanted to discuss to you guys about. Just talk about different things in regards to big bikes, or buying big bikes for big people. It's not so easy. You definitely want to try things out. Now, fortunately for me, the Trek Verve is actually rated for 350, so I'm at that weight limit. But even the guy said, people will carry bags of food, or if they go camping, that adds extra weight onto the bike, and it still supports that. So I was thinking I had to go to a fat boy bike or a fat tire bike, but no. And he even told, I asked the guy about fat tire bikes. He said, well, yeah, we carry a lot of them, but honestly, the fat tires actually will kind of slow you down as far as the treads. And I also found a few different YouTubers doing videos on why not to buy a fat tire bike. Usually the videos and pictures we see of people on those bikes, they're like on ski slopes or ski paths that are paved and packed a certain way. If you got slushy weather like here in Buffalo, it's not exactly something you can necessarily do. Even if you get a ton of snow, it's very powdery. You might be slipping all over the place, or you might not be able to actually pedal through it. Consistency. So that's a lot of food for thought right there, guys. So just want to thank you guys for checking out this video. Hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, this is Dave from Dave's Dimension saying keep on busting, and I will always catch you on the flip side. Take care.